your business. So first, let me set the stage. I've been in business for 14 years. I am a six-figure business. I don't like saying that phrase because I don't know, I guess it sounds salesy to me, but I have had a six-figure business for 10 out of those 14 years. So I have run a business successfully for a long time. But what's interesting about running a business in sex is it is mired with crazy. So let me tell you a little bit about like what it's like being a business owner of a sex therapy business, private practice. So a lot of you really struggle in your sex lives. Like I would say most people do actually struggle in their sex lives. So one of my jokes is that I'll see every one of you at some point. It just depends on when. It's not an if, it's a when. I say that to everybody I know in business and in networking. And sex therapists are known for having businesses where clients are just lining up outside the door, just waiting to come. Because at some point, you all are going to have sex problems. It's a part of life. And so what's been interesting is the first year or two, I was building my business and my practice, but as soon as people found out about me, it took off. There were plenty of people who needed my services and needed my help. Along the way, though, there is always time for self-doubt. And I've had many moments of it in my career. I'll tell you a few. So in 2020, during the pandemic, even though I've always had a business that's been very busy, at that time, it's like sex stopped. The whole world was waiting on pins and needles. Like, what's going to happen? Like, are we okay? Are we going to be alive? Are my parents going to be alive at the end of this point? Am I healthy enough to survive this pandemic? We're all stuck in our homes. And so when the whole world goes into crisis mode, sex absolutely gets backburnered. And so guess what happens to sex therapists? We get backburnered. And so that was a moment in my career where I was like, am I going to make it? I went to half capacity. I had never, since the beginning of my business, been at half capacity. I was terrified. And talk about some self-doubt. I am the kind of person that I need to be busy. The more projects and cool collaborations I have, the better I feel in life. But when I have less or I have more time on my hands, I don't even know I just twiddle my thumbs. Like, I don't know what to do. And it demotivates me to be less busy. It doesn't motivate me. I'm the kind of person I need a healthy amount of projects keeping me going and keeping me excited. So that year I wondered, am I doing this right? Should I be doing this? Is sex therapy the right career field for me? Am I like, what's going to happen? Of course, we're all questioning the world at the time. But I personally was terrified about if my business was going to work or work out well. And so I definitely struggled and with self-doubt and am I doing the right thing? And one of the things I had to do at that time was have a lot of conversations with my husband about what do I do about this? Like, how am I going to make this work? Am I, and the good thing that is a part of my business is I really do have a lot of passion for this. I believe I am in the heart of my passion when I am doing sex therapy. But when there's still a part of it that's like, as long as I'm doing successful work, then I feel better about my business. And then when things aren't going so great, then that's when I get into the self-doubt mode of, am I doing something wrong? Should I be doing something different? So having lots of conversations with my partner, reminding myself to stay grounded in my passion is another way that I deal with that self-doubt. And so during that time, I had to suspend any actions and take time to really understand what was going on with myself and what was going on in the environment around me. Because if I was if I just lived in my emotions at that time, I would have left the business at that point. I would have said goodbye to therapy and never came back. And because I have done this for so long, I know this is the heart of my passion. I know this is what I love to do. And so for me to leave at that time would have been premature and would have really strongly caused harm to the people that I help and that I love. I love helping all of you. I want to help you have a good sex life. And so one of the things I have to do when I go into my self-doubt modes is I have to hold. I have to wait and observe and see, is this me or is this my environment or is this things that need to evolve or change? And as the pandemic, as we were allowed to go back into the world, then there was this flooding of people coming back in. And so what's interesting is the opposite happened, where my business started to get bigger and bigger and bigger and more busy and more busy. And I started to burn out. So I flipped from, am I doing everything right, and self-doubt, to a new form of self-doubt because I had too many people coming and I was like exhausted and tired. So again, self-doubt is a part of running a business. I think it's important for us to recognize and appreciate that self-doubt is a part of running a business, and it's going to be a part of running a business. And so every time self-doubt creeps in, another skill or strategy that I use to help me is I start questioning what needs to change. Are there things that I need to change within? Are there ways that my business is talking to me that I need to change things up or evolve there? Are there things in the culture, in the country around me that need to change? But I do ask myself that question, what needs to change? And then I wait and hold back and watch as things unfold. And what you will find if you use this same strategy is it keeps you curious, it keeps you open-minded. It does. There is one risk when you say, what do I need internally to change? You've got to be careful not to go into self-criticism, because there are ways that you can say, I'm bad at this, I'm terrible at this, I'm not good at this, there's something wrong with, there are ways that we can self-implode. So be very cautious about being overly critical. But if you stay in a curious space and watch and look for how do things need to change, what do I need to change, then that helps me with self-doubt. So now let's fast forward, tell you a news story. So last year was a tough year in business again. And what was interesting about last year is it wasn't just 3 months like that time in the pandemic where we were all closed off and we were closed off, but then we came back in. It was a season in 2020, but last year, 2024 was an entire year of struggle in my business, which again was like one of those, what's going on? Am I doing something wrong? Is something going on in the environment? So when I'm in self-doubt, I have to be very, very careful not to fall into what I call the black holes of despair. Any business owner's got to know about these black holes. So the black holes of despair are essentially these things that you can go into deep darkness around, I'm not good enough. Basically, they're shame, by the way, just to give you the answer to that, it's shame. So my black hole pit of despair is I'm not good enough, I should be doing this, I haven't inspired myself in this way or written this book, and essentially they're deep self-deprecation and self-criticism, and to put it in a more blunt term, they're self-abuse. And again, none of these things help when you are in business trying to make yourself successful, trying to change or evolve. And so over this last year, as things got rough, some of the things I needed to do were to really analyze, evaluate, and stay curious. And keep using that process of wait, hold, observe, what needs to evolve, what needs to change. And so I can't tell each of you exactly what you need to do to evolve or change. But the thing I want you to hear from me out of this video is to stay curious and open-minded and have a set of questions that you ask yourself to keep you on target, keep you out of deep self-criticism, but keep you open to new ideas and fresh ways of looking at things, because that process has helped me move through self-doubt. And also, a second piece that I've developed an awareness of is these are my trigger words or phrases around those deep pits of despair. So actually, one of my trigger thoughts is when I compare myself to other more successful sex therapists. So there really are sex therapists, rock stars out there in the world that are hundreds of thousands of audience members, and they are just doing magical work. They probably have huge teams underneath them helping them, by the way. So to be fair, it's not always even fair to compare myself to them. But that's one of my trigger spaces when I start watching some of their videos and thinking about why can't I be like them, if only, or even I'm connected to a whole bunch of cool sex therapists on Facebook groups and pages. So if I start looking at their stuff and being oh, they're getting this amazing thing and I'm not. It's this comparison, but that's competitive as opposed to gratitude for them, appreciation that they've got this really cool skill. Anytime I'm in that space, that is the start to the deep, dark pit of despair. And I had to learn like several years ago. Like it was funny. The one I was doing it with was Esther Perel, who is an amazing person. I'm so proud of the work that she does. But when I'm listening to her and I'm proud of her, I'm in a good headspace. When I listen to her work and I'm like, you're just not good enough. How come you're not like her? That's the start to my pit of despair as a business owner and as a sexual health business owner. So I want you thinking about that too. So like in your own field, so you may not be a sex therapist, but I know you've got other people in your field that you're watching and comparing yourself to. Are you looking towards them as like, good for them? I'm so proud of them. They're doing a great job, and how awesome that they had this success, which is a space of positivity, and I'll find mine too, right? Like that's a good space. The bad space, the pit of despair, is they do everything, they get the cool things, I don't. And so I don't know all of yours. I just wanted to give you at least one of mine so you could see like, oh, there's Angela's self-doubt. And I have plenty more. But like you have to find your versions of that self-doubt, your little things that are at the top of that pit of despair that if you keep listening and if you keep talking to yourself like that, whoosh, you're just going to fall right down. I don't want that for you. And I'm not going to say that it's not going to happen because obviously I've had moments of deep, dark despair. I've fallen in the pit plenty of times. But if you can find your spots, your trigger spots, and stop them, nope, not going to treat myself like that. Nope, not going to go down that path. You'll do better in your business. You'll be more successful. I have more tips. Please keep following me. I'm going to do more on this business stuff. I want to teach you my things, and I want to learn from you too. So if you have your thoughts on how you stay out of the pits of despair or how you like work through self-doubt, please comment below. I want to hear your ideas. Please also like and subscribe. If this video could help somebody, send it to them. Like, hey, I learned this from her. Like, I want to help people. And then also please come to my event. It's called Dinner with a Sex Therapist. You can find it at eventbrite.com under Dinner with a Sex Therapist, Angela Skirtu. It's February 15th. 2025 from 6 to 8 p.m. in St. Louis, Missouri, Maplewood, Schlafly Bottle Works. And tickets are $40 plus the fees for Eventbrite. So please join me. Thank you.